Imagine a quiet evening where someone sits alone, lost in thought. Their mind drifts over the day, over the people they meet, and over one presence that seems to linger more than others. They don't realize it yet, but their attention, their subtle gestures, and even the small choices they make are all quietly drawn toward that person. They find themselves smiling at memories that seem insignificant, feeling concern before it is voiced, and seeking moments of connection without even planning it. It's as if an invisible thread is pulling them closer, a force they cannot name, a feeling that exists before words can give it shape. In these quiet, almost unnoticed ways, love often reveals itself. It is not always declared in bold statements or grand gestures. Sometimes it is in the small acts, the gentle attentiveness, the unconscious pull that guides attention and energy toward another. The mind may resist, doubt, or question, but the heart has already begun to act. And this is the moment when the truth becomes visible, not in words, but in presence, consistency, and subtle patterns of care. As Carl Jung once reflected, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Love is that reaction, often unfolding quietly beneath awareness, shaping actions, guiding attention, and revealing depths of feeling that even the person themselves has not yet fully recognized. Unconscious affection is one of the most subtle and powerful forms of love. It is a type of feeling that flows beneath awareness, often unacknowledged by the person experiencing it. Unlike conscious emotions, which are deliberate and easily named, unconscious affection works quietly in the background. It shapes behaviors, choices, and even thoughts without the person fully realizing it. Sometimes a person may find themselves drawn repeatedly towards someone, acting in ways that reflect deep care, yet when asked, they might deny or downplay the intensity of their feelings. This is the unconscious mind expressing a truth that the conscious mind has not yet accepted. What is fascinating about this type of affection is that it often appears in everyday actions rather than dramatic declarations. A person might notice small details about the other, remember tiny preferences, or respond with thoughtfulness at moments that seem ordinary. These actions may appear automatic or habitual, but they carry the weight of unspoken love. The unconscious mind does not always communicate through words. It expresses itself through patterns, through the repeated gestures that reveal a heart's quiet devotion. This is why someone can be more in love than they even realize. Their behaviors may betray what their mind has not yet acknowledged. The unconscious affection is often intertwined with a sense of familiarity or resonance. When someone cares deeply but is not fully aware of it, there is a natural attunement to the other person's emotions, moods, and rhythms. Without thinking about it, they adjust their energy to match or support the other. They may feel discomfort when the other is upset, or a sense of satisfaction when things are going well, even if they cannot articulate why. These emotional responses are not learned behaviors or superficial acts of kindness. They are rooted in the unconscious recognition of connection and attachment. It is important to understand that this form of affection is not necessarily about idealized notions of romance. It is more subtle than infatuation or temporary passion. The unconscious mind perceives patterns and significance that the conscious mind might overlook. It understands compatibility, emotional resonance, and the importance of presence in a way that words cannot always capture. Sometimes people experience these feelings and assume they are trivial or that they do not matter. But in reality, unconscious affection is often the foundation of lasting emotional bonds. One way to notice unconscious affection is by observing consistency over time. Unlike fleeting emotions, unconscious love manifests as repeated, thoughtful acts that appear naturally. A person may seek ways to support, to be near, or to pay attention without being instructed or prompted. They may remember details that seem insignificant but are deeply meaningful to the other. These behaviors are rarely calculated. They emerge spontaneously, guided by the unseen hand of emotional truth. This is the unconscious mind communicating what the conscious mind has not yet fully acknowledged. Another layer of unconscious affection involves internal resistance. People may suppress recognition of their feelings out of fear, uncertainty, or a desire to maintain control. They might not admit the depth of their attachment because it challenges their self-image, their routines, or their sense of independence. Yet even when consciously denied, the unconscious mind continues to act in accordance with the truth of the heart. It nudges toward connection through small but consistent signs, through attention, presence, and emotional resonance. In this sense, unconscious affection can be seen as a persistent, quiet force that quietly shapes behavior towards someone without their full awareness. Understanding unconscious affection requires patience and attention. It asks us to look beyond spoken words and obvious gestures, to notice the patterns of thought and behavior that reveal genuine attachment. It is in these subtleties that the heart's real truth emerges. Someone may be more in love than they even realize, and the signs are often in the delicate, repeated actions that cannot be explained away by circumstance or convenience. In the end, unconscious affection reminds us that love is not always a conscious choice. It is also a force that flows beneath the surface, guiding decisions, shaping behavior, and quietly drawing people together. It is an expression of the depth of human emotion, a reflection of the inner world, and a testament to the ways our hearts can know truth even before our minds do. Words are often the first thing people notice when trying to understand someone's feelings, but they are only a part of the story. Words can be shaped by fear, pride, or social expectations, and sometimes they fail to reflect the depth of what is truly felt. In contrast, behavior is a more reliable mirror of the unconscious mind and the heart. Actions emerge naturally from inner reality, often without premeditation, and they carry an authenticity that words cannot always capture. Someone might say little or avoid openly expressing emotions, but their repeated actions can reveal a profound attachment. Observing these patterns is like reading the undercurrent of a river. The surface may seem calm, but beneath it there is movement, force, and direction. Behavior over words becomes especially clear when someone consistently shows care in subtle ways. A person may notice what the other needs before being asked, adjust their schedule to accommodate another's comfort, or offer support when it is most unexpected. These acts may seem ordinary at first glance, but when repeated over time, they become a language of love that transcends speech. In many ways, actions are more revealing than declarations because they are harder to control or fabricate. While anyone can say, "I care," it takes time, energy, and attention to consistently demonstrate it through behavior. There is also a quiet honesty in the way someone behaves when they are deeply invested. Small gestures, such as remembering details about the other's day or showing up at moments that matter, communicate awareness and presence. Even the act of simply being available without being asked is a sign of emotional investment. These behaviors often go unnoticed or unspoken, but they are deeply meaningful. They are expressions of the unconscious heart, showing devotion in ways that the conscious mind might not even fully recognize. One of the reasons behavior is more revealing than words is that it bypasses the mind's tendency to rationalize or resist emotion. A person may feel uncertain, hesitant, or even fearful about acknowledging their attachment consciously. They may avoid verbal declarations due to pride, insecurity, or past experiences, yet their actions cannot be fully suppressed. The unconscious heart finds ways to communicate through what is done, rather than what is said. This is why careful observation of consistent patterns is crucial for understanding the true depth of someone's feelings. Patterns of behavior also reveal priorities. How a person chooses to spend their time, energy, and attention often reflects what is most important to them. Someone deeply in love may make subtle adjustments in their daily life, prioritizing moments with the other, seeking opportunities to connect, or providing support without being prompted. These behaviors reveal not only affection, but also a willingness to invest personally and emotionally. While words may fluctuate with mood or circumstance, consistent action over time is a more enduring and reliable indicator of love. It is also important to recognize that behavior is often unconscious. The person may not even realize how much their actions reveal about their feelings. They may think of themselves as acting out of habit, kindness, or social expectation, when in reality, the unconscious mind is guiding their behavior toward connection and attachment. In this sense, the unconscious communicates through behavior, making it a window into the deeper, unspoken truths of the heart. Furthermore, behavior over words reflects integrity of emotion. Someone who is genuinely invested aligns their inner world with their outward actions. There is no pretense or calculated performance. They act in ways that reflect what they truly value, and this alignment between inner feeling and outer action is often a sign of authentic attachment. Even small, seemingly inconsequential gestures, when consistent, reveal the depth of care and affection that may not be fully recognized by the conscious mind. Observing behavior over words requires attentiveness and sensitivity. It asks one to look beyond declarations, to notice patterns, consistency, and subtle efforts. These are often the clearest signs of love and devotion, even when the individual may struggle to articulate or even admit their feelings consciously. Actions, after all, are the language of the unconscious heart, the steady rhythm that communicates truth even when the mind is hesitant or uncertain. Ultimately, prioritizing behavior over words allows one to perceive the reality of someone's feelings. It reveals the presence of affection that may not be loudly proclaimed, but is consistently demonstrated. It shows the underlying currents of attachment, care, and devotion that flow beneath the surface, quietly shaping choices and influencing the rhythm of life. Through careful attention to behavior, the depth of emotional investment becomes visible, often surprising even the one who carries it. Projection is one of the most fascinating aspects of human psychology, especially in the realm of affection and attachment. Often, the mind projects inner feelings, desires, or fears onto another person without realizing it. Someone may feel a deep connection or strong emotions toward another, but instead of acknowledging these feelings consciously, they perceive them as qualities or intentions coming from the other person. This is not deception or manipulation. It is the mind's way of processing complex internal experiences. It is a subtle, unconscious act that can mask the depth of affection, making someone unaware of how strongly they are attached. Shadow work is closely tied to this process. In Jungian terms, the shadow represents the parts of ourselves that we deny, suppress, or refuse to recognize. It contains elements of personality, emotion, and desire that are hidden from conscious awareness, often because they challenge our self-image or provoke fear. When a person is deeply in love but not fully aware of it, part of their affection may reside in this shadow. They may experience confusion, inner conflict, or even frustration because the intensity of their feeling does not align with what they consciously want to acknowledge. The unconscious mind, however, continues to express this love through behavior, attention, and emotional attunement, even while the conscious mind resists recognition. Projection can make it seem as if the other person embodies qualities or intentions that are actually reflections of the inner world. For example, someone may feel that another person is exceptionally attentive, thoughtful, or caring, but in reality, these observations often mirror the affection and care that exist unconsciously within themselves. The act of noticing, admiring, and responding is both a reflection and a projection. The unconscious affection projects its desires onto the other, creating a feedback loop of connection that deepens attachment even before the conscious mind fully recognizes it. Emotional attunement also highlights the depth of empathy involved in love. It is more than noticing emotions. It is experiencing them in a way that prompts instinctive support. Someone deeply attuned may find themselves affected by moods they are not fully aware of, feeling unease when the other is distressed or satisfaction when things are going well. These responses are not learned reactions or conscious calculations. They are the unconscious mind's way of aligning with the emotional rhythm of the other, reflecting genuine concern and attachment. This attunement is often consistent even when words or conscious acknowledgement are absent. Someone may not admit their feelings, or may even resist them due to fear, pride, or uncertainty, yet their emotional alignment remains. The unconscious mind maintains connection through this subtle responsiveness. It can manifest in moments of laughter, shared silence, or gentle attentiveness, all of which signal the depth of engagement that exceeds conscious recognition. Emotional attunement also shapes choices and priorities. People who are unconsciously in love may find themselves adjusting plans, anticipating needs, or simply being present at moments that matter. These behaviors flow naturally from the resonance of emotional connection rather than from obligation or thought-out strategy. The unconscious mind guides attention and effort toward maintaining harmony, connection, and understanding, creating a living expression of love that operates quietly but consistently. Understanding emotional attunement requires observation and reflection. It is in the small gestures, the unspoken understanding, and the patterns of consistent responsiveness that the truth of attachment becomes visible. Words may fluctuate or be withheld, yet the rhythm of emotional alignment persists. Someone may not realize the depth of their feelings, but the body, heart, and mind continue to respond in ways that reveal genuine care and investment. Ultimately, emotional attunement is a signal of love that transcends conscious thought. It shows how profoundly one person can resonate with another, even without acknowledgement. The heart often knows before the mind admits, and this attunement is proof of connection that quietly guides attention, choices, and behavior. It is a reminder that love is not only declared, but also lived through presence, empathy, and emotional harmony. Subtle signs of presence are among the quietest but most revealing indicators of deep affection. When someone is more in love than they even realize, their attention naturally gravitates toward the other person. This is often expressed not in grand gestures or dramatic statements, but in the everyday choices they make, how they spend their time, where they focus their energy, and how consistently they show up. Presence is a language of love that operates beneath words, a gentle signal that someone cares deeply without fully acknowledging it consciously. Being present is not just about physical proximity. It is also emotional and psychological. A person may notice moods, anticipate needs, or offer help before being asked. These actions often happen without deliberate thought. They are guided by an unconscious desire to connect and support. Over time, this consistent attentiveness forms a pattern that quietly communicates affection. Even small, repeated gestures, checking in, remembering details, or being available during challenging moments, can reveal a depth of care that is profound, even if unrecognized by the one performing them. The unconscious mind often drives this presence. When someone feels drawn toward another person, their behavior naturally aligns with creating connection. They may prioritize moments together, adjust plans, or make space in their life for shared experiences. These actions occur without conscious deliberation, guided instead by an inner force that seeks closeness and harmony. The subtlety of these signs makes them easy to overlook, yet they are often more reliable indicators of genuine attachment than spoken declarations. Subtle presence also reveals itself in consistency. While anyone can make a single effort or gesture, someone who is unconsciously in love demonstrates steady patterns over time. Their attention does not fluctuate randomly. It follows an underlying rhythm shaped by emotional investment. They may notice what others might consider trivial, remember personal preferences, or act thoughtfully in moments that seem unimportant. These behaviors are small, but their repetition signals a deep connection that transcends conscious thought. Presence is closely linked to empathy. A person who is more attached than they realize often experiences another's world almost as if it were their own. They sense distress, joy, or need, and their actions respond accordingly. This sensitivity is a form of love expressed through behavior rather than words. It shows that affection is not just a concept but a lived experience, continuously guiding choices and shaping interaction in ways that reveal genuine care and investment. Sometimes, the signs of presence appear in subtle attentiveness rather than grand acts. A thoughtful message, a timely gesture, or a shared moment of quiet support can carry more meaning than elaborate displays. The unconscious mind tends to communicate through patterns rather than isolated actions, which means that repeated subtle signs often provide the clearest insight into someone's feelings. The cumulative effect of these small, attentive behaviors paints a portrait of affection that is far more reliable than what someone might say or consciously admit. Understanding these signs requires attentiveness and reflection. It is easy to dismiss small gestures or assume they are casual politeness, but when considered over time, they form a consistent pattern of care. Someone may not even recognize their own behaviors as expressions of love because they feel natural or automatic. Yet for those who observe carefully, these signs reveal the presence of deep, unconscious attachment that shapes the way a person navigates time, attention, and energy. Presence also interacts with the dynamics of unconscious affection and emotional attunement. When someone is attuned to another's feelings and emotionally connected, their presence is not forced but integrated into daily life. They seek opportunities to be there, not out of obligation, but out of an inner pull toward connection. This type of presence is subtle, consistent, and revealing. It demonstrates love in motion rather than in theory. Ultimately, subtle signs of presence are the language of the unconscious heart. They reveal attachment, devotion, and care that often surpass conscious understanding. They show how someone can be more in love than they realize, communicating affection through attention, consistency, and availability. Love, in this sense, is lived rather than declared, demonstrated through the quiet ways one chooses to be there over and over again, without needing recognition or reward. Internal conflict is one of the most common reasons someone may not fully recognize the depth of their own feelings. Often, the heart knows what the mind has not yet admitted, creating a tension between conscious thought and unconscious desire. A person may feel drawn to someone in profound ways, but simultaneously resist acknowledging it. This resistance can arise from fear, pride, uncertainty, or past experiences that have shaped beliefs about vulnerability. The inner world becomes a battlefield where genuine attachment struggles to emerge fully into awareness, even though it subtly shapes behavior and attention. Desire, in contrast, operates as a quiet, persistent force beneath this conflict. It guides choices, shapes emotional responses, and influences the way a person shows up in the world of another. Desire can manifest unconsciously, in small gestures, moments of attention, or consistent patterns of care. It is a force that pushes toward connection, even when the conscious mind erects barriers of doubt or hesitation. In many ways, internal conflict magnifies the subtlety of love, because the unconscious continues to act in favor of attachment, even when the conscious self resists recognition. This tension between internal conflict and desire often creates behaviors that seem contradictory. A person may hesitate to express feelings verbally or may appear distant at times, yet they continually demonstrate care and affection through action. The unconscious mind drives this behavior, subtly revealing attachment and investment. In Jungian terms, the unconscious often knows the truth before the conscious mind does, and the signs of love emerge through repeated patterns rather than declarations. Observing these patterns provides insight into the depth of feeling, even when the person themselves cannot fully articulate it. Internal conflict can also stem from the fear of vulnerability. To admit deep attachment is to open oneself to risk of rejection, disappointment, or exposure of the parts of oneself that are most tender. This fear can suppress conscious recognition of love, creating the impression that feelings are less intense than they truly are. However, desire cannot be fully silenced. It finds expression through attentiveness, thoughtfulness, and small, consistent actions that reveal commitment and care. These unconscious signals are often more honest than conscious attempts at self-protection or rationalization. At the same time, desire interacts with projection and the shadow. Unacknowledged affection may reside partly in the shadow, creating internal conflict as the conscious mind resists what is hidden. A person may project their own feelings onto the other, seeing in them what is already alive within themselves. The tension between internal conflict and desire can thus be a fertile ground for self-awareness. By observing the ways in which actions betray feelings that are not yet acknowledged, one can begin to understand the true depth of their emotional investment. Internal conflict versus desire also shapes priorities and decisions. Someone may consciously choose restraint, careful boundaries, or delayed acknowledgement, yet their unconscious desire directs attention, time, and energy toward the person they care about. They may find themselves consistently making small sacrifices, offering support, or showing care in ways that feel automatic. These behaviors are the unconscious mind's way of affirming attachment, even when the conscious self struggles with fear, doubt, or indecision. Understanding this dynamic requires reflection and compassion for oneself. Recognizing that the unconscious heart can act independently of conscious resistance allows a person to see the layers of emotion that coexist within them. Love can be active even when denied, persistent even when questioned, and visible through consistent actions rather than statements. By paying attention to the ways behavior aligns with desire, it becomes possible to perceive attachment in its true form, despite the internal conflict that may obscure it. Internal conflict also illuminates the depth of courage required to fully acknowledge affection. To face one's own desire is to confront vulnerability, to reconcile the tension between fear and longing. Yet even before full acknowledgement, love operates subtly, guiding attention, shaping choices, and influencing presence. The unconscious heart communicates the truth of attachment, signaling care and commitment even in moments of hesitation or doubt. Ultimately, the interplay between internal conflict and desire demonstrates that love is not always fully recognized by the one who feels it. It shows how profoundly the unconscious can guide behavior, revealing emotional truth through consistent patterns, attentiveness, and care. Even when awareness is incomplete, these signs illustrate that the heart knows its own depth before the mind admits it, quietly expressing attachment and devotion in ways that are profoundly human and deeply revealing. In the end, love often operates quietly beneath awareness. The heart knows more than the mind, guiding actions, attention, and presence in ways that may go unnoticed even by the one feeling it. Subtle gestures, consistent care, and emotional attunement reveal a depth of attachment that words cannot fully capture. When someone is more in love than they realize, it is expressed through these patterns, through the unconscious currents that shape behavior, priorities, and choices. Understanding this requires patience and attentiveness. It asks us to look beyond declarations and notice the ways care is shown over time through presence, responsiveness, and small acts that reflect true investment. Even internal conflict, hesitation, or fear cannot erase the unconscious pull of affection. It quietly persists, guiding toward connection and resonance, revealing devotion in ways both gentle and profound. Love, in this sense, is more than conscious acknowledgement. It is a living force that manifests in attention, empathy, and subtle patterns of care. By observing these signs, one can recognize the depth of attachment and the truth of feeling, even when it has not yet been fully named or admitted. It reminds us that the unconscious heart often speaks first, shaping connection in ways that are both enduring and deeply human. When we pay attention to these signs, we begin to see the quiet power of love, how it moves unseen, how it persists despite hesitation, and how it communicates through presence, consistency, and the rhythm of care. Sometimes, the most profound affection is the one that the heart expresses before the mind fully understands, and noticing it allows us to honor the subtle, beautiful ways in which love is lived and felt.